Welcome to KSOK Uncensored. Tonight's guest, as promised, I have Lauren Denny here from Simply Country Ranch in Oklahoma. I want to go ahead and bring Lauren in now because, wow, you have accomplished so much, Lauren. I am fangirling over here.
Oh,
impressive.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I had to take notes. You've done so much. I couldn't memorize it. Okay. So Lauren recently was awarded the 2022 Redbud Award for an outstanding agritourism attraction in Oklahoma. Juan, can you show that picture? Not to put, no pressure, Juan, when you get a chance. Sure, there we go. I love that. Fantastic. Not sure if my sound's on. Not sure if my sound cut out there, but congratulations. That is incredibly awesome. That's a big deal. That's a big deal to be recognized like that.
Yes, we were very excited. It was a huge honor. It's for the whole state of Oklahoma. We were chosen for this year, so that was really spectacular.
That is cool, because when I was looking into that, I was like breaking it down, like, is it for the county? I'm like, no, that's for the whole state. So that is incredibly awesome. So congratulations on that. And, I just want to tell viewers here, because I did quite a bit of research, because I just love what you're doing. And so your ranch offers festivals, movie nights, classes, tours, field trips. There's a bullpen fitness center, a photo studio. You are a children's book author, Winston and the Missing Apples. I know you have it right there. Can you show our audience the book that you wrote? And go ahead. You were showing me earlier how it's interactive.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So our book was written based off of a true story. We live on a farm and we have farm animals that just truly have a whole lot to say and do. And we are telling the story through interactive QR codes so the kids can scan the code as if they were actually viewing this happening on the ranch. So whatever they see on the picture, they can go ahead and see it in real life using their technology. So being a former educator, I really wanted to be able to include technology along with literacy, and Winston and the Missing Apples is on our website as well as on Amazon.
That's fantastic. I thank you so much for putting a book together like that, because and it really helps. I know you mentioned you taught fourth grade, and that age range. I have a fifth grader. She's going into sixth grade. They're really into. I just got her first phone, but yeah, they're really into that. So and we want to keep books cool, because books are cool, right? And having a nice tangible book is still really cool. But the fact that you can combine the two worlds, I think, is really smart. So that's a big win for you there. I like that. I wasn't done, though, guys. Okay, so on top of being a children's book author, a podcast host, a blogger, and that's all of that is on top of being a first-generation farmer. How do you do that all?
We have very little sleep. It's just something that we know needs to be done. All of the things get done when they need to get done by prioritizing the biggest projects for that day, and filling in a lot of our passions is just something we just are willing to put in the time and effort, because we know that it's important for our community, it's important for our family, and it's just something that we were really drawn to doing. So like you said, we're first generation farmers, and we're just really excited to be able to learn a lot and continue to share our journey about how other people can get started as well.
Yes, and that's what your podcast is about, correct?
That's right. I felt like a lot of times when there's so much information online, I wanted more of a central location where people could come and experience the country living, but ask the questions that maybe they might be a little intimidated to ask, because they might also be first generation. And so I wanted a place where we could interview average Americans or even international, where we can ask them the questions of how they got started. And a lot of times we just don't really know people's backstory of how they actually got started and that tangible facts. And so that's why I wanted to start the Simply Country podcast.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. Now, is that is that where all the other podcasts are, like iTunes, and where can people find your podcast at?
That's exactly right. Yes. So all of the major podcasts.
Okay, cool. Okay, excellent. Love that. Thank you. I was tongue-tied there for a minute. Thanks for knowing what I was trying to say. All right. Well, that's excellent. I think that's so true. It's like It's like in school, right? You didn't want to be that person, ask the dumb question. And so you just, and I'm guilty of this too. I just didn't ask. And then it
Right.
didn't serve. So I think that's really cool that you're creating a safe space in a sense where you can really dive into the questions that it is too overwhelming online, right? Like it's just nice to be able to develop that. So I think that's fantastic. I know farming is not, and ranching is not for the faint of heart. And I know just recently I was watching you on your journey where you lost a baby donkey. Um, just heartbreaking. Talk to us about what you experience on the ranch in that sense.
There is easy, I wouldn't say even say easy. There are good seasons in farming and there are tough seasons. And I really feel that we are in a tough valley right now. We have lost quite a few animals. And I know that death is a part of life, and experiencing it firsthand just really puts things into perspective of what's important. And it makes you value it just makes you value your hard work, your animals, and just life in a whole different way when you are in charge of those animals and the life that you are having on your farm. And we've really been in a valley, it feels like, and so I'm trying to remember that there are tough seasons and then there are going to be easier seasons. And right now it's just a tough one. Just constantly had something that has been a tough one to bear off. We've lost quite a few animals. We've had rough winters where a lot have died from the cold. This season, we just lost a donkey, and we share a lot of what we do on social media. And so I jokingly say to my family, like, Lauren's crying on the social media, and because I try to share a lot of what we do, and because I do that, and I try to share a lot of our positives as well as just the honest. And death happens to be the honest part that I'm sharing at this time in our journey. And so we did lose a baby donkey. I believe he was dehydrated, and we just did everything we could. And he was just about 3 days old, and it was a really hard one to bear.
Yeah, no, that's heartbreaking. I'm like, I love animals and I totally understand. Like I've just been able to wrap my head around, the circle of life and how, well, if that one didn't kill that one wouldn't be able to eat. And but I'm just doing that at, 41, but experiencing it firsthand, that's a whole other ball game. And I think that's great that you're sharing vulnerable moments as well, because, social media in general, it's so phony in a sense, in many ways. And so to have somebody that is raw and real, I think it's incredibly refreshing. And we really need more of that out there. So I know it shows like anxiety and depression is at an all-time high. And a lot of people, it's because they're comparing their lives to what others people's lives appear online. It appears to be perfect, right? But what you're doing is really showing that, oh, like this is real life. This is what it's like. There's highs and lows, and so I really appreciate that about you. And you do it gracefully.
Well,
You might not think so, but you do. I mean, that's not a tough thing to, or not an easy thing to share. Excuse me.
well,
Um, I want to pivot into something. This is the video that caught my attention. And again, it was also, I saw you were in McAllister, which is where my best friend lives. Every time I've gone to visit her, she's like, "Don't come here. Just meet me in Dallas." She's like, "It's so boring." But now knowing you're out there, I'd like that would be so cool to see your ranch. But anyways, here's the video. Juan, are we at a point where we could play that and then we can talk about it?
it's getting real scary out here. That the grass is very dried up. Miss Stella is out here with me right now. And did you know that a lot of the stockyards are being filled with people who are having to drop off their cattle because there's not enough feed in their pastures for them? I have people who are contacting me asking me if we're selling hay. Normally we don't feed hay until about November, December, January, if we're lucky. That's really scary. That's really scary. We come out and check our fields quite often to make sure our girls have enough feed. We're getting down. We're getting down to the nitty gritty down here. The weeds are still here. Those are still green because weeds never die. But this pasture easily would have kept us until November. But I don't know what it's going to look like if we don't get rain here soon.
Wow, that was really eye-opening to me. And that video was what, a week and a half ago or so? Maybe 2 weeks
Right.
ago? You still haven't had rain, right?
No, it feels like it's raining everywhere else but where I live.
Yeah, that's wild. I know my friend was telling me because I told her you were coming on, and she's like, "Yeah, when we step on the grass, it literally just snaps." She's like, "It is
Yeah.
bone dry." So, that's and I'm always like a problem solver, so I was like immediately like, "Okay, what could the governor do?" And I am curious, has the governor, what is it, Governor Skid or something like that, Governor Stitt, right? But
Yeah.
has he put in like a state of emergency for your county or anything?
I haven't seen anything come along from the government side of things. You're right. Where a lot of people are problem solvers, and it is. When we shared that video, it did get a lot of attention. A lot of people just relate to it. They're also in a drought. They have also tried to offer a lot of input of what we could be doing in order to help water the pasture. And I think that was, like you said, eye opening. A lot of these people had no idea why we needed hay, why we needed rain. And so that really made me realize how important it was to share things, because a lot of times I don't always have tougher stations in that I love to share, the just adorable, fun animal videos and educational
Right.
side of things. So this one was kind of a newer subject for me to kind of touch on because it is cutting so close to home. And we have people who are asking or suggesting that we should just put a sprinkler outside to water the
Ah,
grass. And some of these things are just so coming from such a good heart, but it's a really big span. It's just something when you're raising animals, it's more than just a sprinkler that we can do. We would really love some rain.
oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm like already speculating what state that person's from. But it's just yeah, it comes from a good place, but wow, out of touch. Yeah, it's pretty wild. You know what? This is gonna be funny because this is how I'm out of touch too with this. Because I was like, okay, when there's fires and those health, they fly over and dump those giant buckets of water. I'm like, need to declare a state of emergency and dump those buckets of water as if it was a fire. And I still think that might work. But but anyways, I was looking and I don't see that your governor's declared a state of emergency for your county. I saw that he signed an executive order for a storm you had in February, but nothing for this drought that is affecting 97% of people that live in your county. So that's concerning, to say the least. But I'm hoping you get that rain this evening. What'd you say, 30% chance?
Yes, 30% chance is better than no chance.
Exactly. We'll take it. Yeah, so I wanted to pivot a little bit. Talk to us about, did I see did you can like rent a portion of the ranch or people can stay on it? What other fun stuff do you have going on there?
Yeah, so we're moving into doing more of like events and opportunities for to people to come and experience the country living and getting back to the basics. And so we would love to open up the ranch to be able to rent different portions. My big plan would be to have yurts and kind of do some glamping or almost like a dude ranch type of thing. That would be in the
Yes.
future time. As of currently, we would love to be able to offer that, but currently it is just for when we have live events that people can come. We do live right around the corner from a great RV park and campground, so people can park there and then come and visit the ranch and whatnot. But yes,
That's
right now we
awesome.
just
Well, that's smart. Yeah, you have big plans, and you're gonna do it. I know you will. I can just tell by everything you have going on right now. Talk to me about how I know, so you're a first generation farmer on a seventh generation ranch. How did that play out?
Gosh, yes. So we're living in Idaho for quite a while, and then 2 years ago we had the opportunity to inherit this ranch that has been in my family for, like you said, 7 generations. And so being first generations, living on 7 generations does sound confusing or interesting in the sense. It's something that has been in our family. And when my grandfather had passed away, it just kind of sat idle for many years. And we wanted to have a an ability to restore it and bring it back to its former glory days. So my husband Ben and I live out here with our 2 kids. My parents made the move from Idaho down here as well, so we all are working together to rebuild fencing and restructure barns. And we've even used my grandfather's old camping trailer and created a camping coop out of it for our chickens.
Oh
So
my,
we're trying to just
yes, I
reuse
saw that.
anything we can. Yes, it's so
I
fun.
love that. Well, I saw that video and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. Because I was thinking, like, that way predators can't get them at night. Like, how great is that? But that's cool. You were just using the resources you already had. So I think that's fantastic.
You really have
Oh,
to do that, especially in farming. I know I'm sorry. Are we ready?
oh no, it cut out for
Okay,
a minute, but then you picked right back up. You're good.
perfect. I was just saying that a lot of times, being in the situations we are in, just try to be resourceful, be wonderful, and it's something that we definitely need to do. Being in farming, it's not a whole lot of money to be made, and I think we need to be able to figure out what works and to problem solve on what you already have and in making that work. And just trying to do things a little differently is kind of what is necessary these days, it seems like. So that's what we're
Yeah,
trying to do with the
absolutely.
restoration and building up a place
I love
to
that.
experience it. Yes.
That's like what it sounds like, a Lifetime movie, quite honestly. I'm like, that is so cool. Like, I swear there's been a Lifetime movie where, the granddaughter, the great granddaughter steps in and takes on this ranch. I mean, it sounds so romantic too at the same time, but I know it's tough. I know it's tough, but I just think it's so rad at the same time. Really neat that you're doing that. No pressure too, right? It's like a seventh generation farm. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna that's a ton of pressure. I'm being sarcastic. Like, that's so much pressure to be able to just step in and make it work. But you're doing all the right things, and I love that you have your family involved. And how was the transition from Idaho to Oklahoma?
That was quite the transition. Idaho has water, it feels like. We farmed a little bit differently than we do. So that right there has a position on learning how to do things differently. For instance, you have irrigation in Idaho, and so you're able to kind of control how much water you put on your land. If the ditches are filled with mountain rain, I mean with mountain snow water. But down here in Oklahoma, you really have to just relate on. It's called dry farming. Anything that just comes down as rain, that's what you're using during your season for growing food and growing all of the necessities that you need for your animals. So that right there is a little different. But then the weather is just brutally different for me. The humidity is harder. So I know you're also in that northwest area, and so
Right.
you have the similar location than what I was having too. But it's been great. The
Yeah.
people are incredibly nice here in Oklahoma, and we're really glad to be where we're at. It's a great small community and really supportive in that farming community as well.
That's awesome. Now, are you homeschooling, or you have the kids in the school system?
Yeah, we have 2 kids and they are in high school and they do go to a small school. We really
Okay,
liked
cool.
that. Yeah, they did do the online school for a little while, and during everything being shut down, they were at home for a little while, but
Right.
they do school now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because knowing that you taught, there's been such a shift, especially those of us that are in these deep blue states. Um, it's such a different experience than folks like Idaho or Oklahoma experienced, and there's been this mass shift in people pulling their kids, including us, out of public school. And we'll be in year 2 of homeschooling, and I never thought I'm I'm okay. But I never thought that I would be in this position where I felt like, wow, I just can't even have them in the public school system anymore. So I think that's really cool that, I have heard, because my friend that lives there did say that the school system's great and that she doesn't see any of that wokeness that I experience here. She doesn't see that there, which is great. 'Cause I just want the kids to be able to have a nice 1980s upbringing that I did. But anyways, different times. So I was just curious about that. You have enough going on. I don't think homeschooling would fit into your schedule. Do you have a team that's helping you?
That's a good question. So we own a sign company, and at our sign company, we do have employees. And during the time, they're so helpful and willing to jump in at any moment that we need. Like, oh, we got some cows out. Will you help us wrangle them back in? So they're
Oh, no way.
wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
So they do help,
I think
but it's
that,
mostly at the sign company, and everything else just feels is mostly on Ben and I's shoulders to do the hay cutting and do the gardening and the farming and all of that good stuff. So that's mostly on our family side of things.
yeah. Well, that I didn't even know about the sign company. Add that to the list that I have here. Talk to us about, I know in your video you mentioned that some neighboring farmers are selling their farms. And I know, before this interview, I went and pulled numbers because I was aware of a lot of international purchases of land in Oklahoma. I believe China owns the most land in Oklahoma out of every other state. So
Wow.
there's some special interest there. I don't know if it's price point or what, but understanding, hearing from you earlier a little bit about why you see a lot of these, small family farms selling their farms just because it's so expensive to run them. It's not incredibly profitable. Um, it makes sense that we see international purchases, swooping in and picking them up at record numbers. But even with this drought recently, you mentioned in that video that you're aware of local ranchers or whatnot bringing their livestock or their cattle to auction, or is that what it is, or what exactly are you seeing there?
Yeah, well, actually, I was just speaking to a neighbor yesterday, and he said that he has no feed currently, and so he's having to go through his cattle and choose which cattle he's going to continue to keep. Just for the size of land that he has, that he feels that he'll be able to feed adequately, and he's had to take this to more of his cattle to the stockyard and to sell them off. And he said he got $70 for his,
Whoa.
yes, $70 for his longhorn. Now, longhorn is, a little bit different than if you were going to be selling more of a beef cattle that is a little bit bigger on the size, such as, an Angus. But still, that
Right.
is shocking numbers that he
Wow.
is. The price of beef is just going down tremendously for farmers to be having to take their animals there because it is just going in waves. And I'm not sure, Kristen, if you've seen on Facebook, a lot of people are just showing what is going on, where they're going and using videos to showcase just driving down the street, just how many cars are lining the street, hours and hours, and hundreds of cars and animals that are in these trailers getting ready to drop their animals at these stockyards every single time that
No,
they
I
have
had
this.
no idea. No
Oh my gosh.
idea. That is, oh
Yes.
my God.
Take a look at That's what really
Yes.
started to pique my interest in kind of wanting to just share our side of what we're experiencing, because we have not decided to make that move of taking any of our animals to the stockyard at this time. But there's a lot of people that's their only option. We know that there's a lot of people who are not capable of raising animals and hay, so they're having to purchase hay to bring in, and sometimes it's just the hay is astronomically high. Like, for instance, normally a bale is like about $35 to $55, and right now it's about $85 to $110 for a bale of hay. And so that is
Whoa.
different. And so if you
That's
can't
like
afford
gas
to,
inflation.
yes,
Oh
so
my
they're
goodness
just
gracious.
dropping those. So if you come across one of those videos, I mean, it's definitely impactful to see the amount of people that are having to remove the animals off their land just because they're not able to feed them. And that right there, if there's an influx in animals, then it's going to drive that price down.
Right, right. And do you think it's merely the drought, or is it more or less the economy and their inability to afford these increasing priced feeds.
You Kristen, I would only assume that it's a perfect storm of a lot of different things. Uh, just the price of fertilizer, the price of diesel, just to be able to run hay within our own pasture has just tremendously gone up to being able to grow our own feed. And sometimes it just feels like it's just not enough, and your profit
Right.
margin is dwindling tremendously. So the price of cow to keep them and then feed them throughout the winter time, and then how much you'll still be able to sell for that meat, is it's not
Wow.
changing. And you have to
Wow.
also
Wow.
understand that these farmers aren't seeing. You might be paying more for that money. You might be paying more money for that meat at the grocery store, but that farmer's not seeing that difference. If you see the animal at the stockyard, that price of beef is tremendously low compared to what you pay at the grocery store. So if people are interested
Wow.
in looking into how they can help a farmer, you can go to your local 4-H groups. These kids are raising these animals and taking them to stockyard. And they're not taking them to stockyards, excuse me. They're taking them to their fairs. They're raising these animals and they're showing these animals. They're learning about how to showcase themselves, and they're learning skills that they can show off. And they're raising these animals, and then they sell these animals at the end of their season, and they're significantly lower. You can buy a whole cow, you can buy half a cow, helping these young Americans, but then you're also, you're getting a great price for your animal as well. If that's what you choose to do, is filling your freezer with meat. So that's one choice I would say.
Yes.
Or going and
I
finding
love
other
that.
farmers and ranchers. A lot of people will ship beef to you. They'll ship lots of different types of food, that internationally or throughout the states, where you can find your local and just go and buy from them.
That is so cool. I wouldn't even have thought of the shipping out of state, but it's yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, I know my dad just we bought half a cow or something, and that was incredibly expensive. I think it was like for half, I think it was like $1,500. And then you think about how much that person, got for his longhorn. I mean, that's just crazy to me. So, wow,
I was
wow.
shocked.
No, I love the different ideas on, because these are things I haven't thought of either, like 4-H. Like that's fantastic. And then just going directly to the source, and let's cut out the middleman BS and go directly to the small business. I appreciate you sharing that, because I think more of us need to step away from convenience and really go big picture and go right to the source, and see how we can be really helping the problems that we have today. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I like that a lot. That's fantastic. All right, where can people find you?
Yes, so we are at simplycountryranch.com is our main website page, but we are also on any social media platform under that same name, or Lauren Denny.
Perfect. Easy enough. I love it. That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, you are just, again, I'm in awe of everything that you do, and I know it's not easy, but I appreciate you putting yourself out there and showing people what's happening. And I encourage you. I know that was one of your first videos that was a little more maybe raw. And I encourage you to keep doing that within your comfortability, because, oh my gosh, like you saw the outpour of interest and people connecting with you over that, because it is important that we know. It's important that people that don't live out on a farm or a ranch really know what you're dealing with. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thank you for taking
Thank you
time
so
out
much.
of your incredibly busy schedule to come on my show. I really appreciate that as well.
Thank you so much for your time today, Kristen.
Oh, thank you. And everyone, you can find or book on Amazon. Can you talk to us about the name of the book one more time?
Sure, that would be Winston and the Missing Apples. Winston and the Missing Apples on Amazon or on Simply Country Ranch. And we have stuffed animals to go along with it too. So there are real animals in real life that live on our farm, so you can follow our story as well as be able to get the book and carry along with it. I promise it's going to be a childhood favorite. The age ranges are great. You're going to be able to have a huge interest from all the way from your littles all the way up to about 4th grade. These guys love it.
So great. That's fantastic. I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. And sounds like Juan, our producer, is probably going to have you on with a couple of our other show hosts if you're interested. So I know we have one that trains horses in Texas. So gosh, you'd be a good combo. But thank you again. I know
Well,
you're doing a lot, and if you ever need anything, you ever want to get a message out there, you know who to contact. And I just appreciate
I
what you're
will.
doing. All right.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. Okay, some exciting stuff happening next week. On Thursday, the Ram crew, Right America Media, we are heading to CPAC in Dallas. And so you are going to see nonstop, not 24/7. You don't probably want to see what's happening after 9 p.m. But we're all staying in one house. That's going to get a little crazy. But anyways, nonstop broadcasting. There's going to be about 10 of us, and oh, there's going to be so much going on there. So, and this is going to be my first time attending. So please tune in to Right America Media. That's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next week, Thursday the 5th, running through Sunday. So tune in, and I will see you hopefully next Thursday. I'll squeak this in despite being at CPAC. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you soon. Hello.